everybody, Andrew here from Go Green Compost with a friendly reminder that one of the best things you can do for your yard and for your ecosystem is to let wood rot. And in that vein, I have got a big pile of wood chips right here behind me. Thank you very much to Dave from Tree Surgeons. That's my local wood chip connection here on Amelia Island. And if you are doing some permaculture or some organic gardening on your property, or if you have fruit trees or any kind of trees for that matter, one of the best things you can do is get yourself a wood chip connection locally. Someone who will drop off some wood chips on your property for a very low fee or for no cost. Now, you can use a website like chipdrop.com, but it's pretty unreliable as to when you're going to get the wood chips and how many you'll actually get. So I would recommend, if you're looking for wood chips, reach out to some arborists in your area, the tree surgeons, people in that line of work, because they are going to be the ones with wood chips. And just ask them if they'll dump them on your property. You'll make it as easy as possible for them, and you might luck out. You can probably also get logs and things like that from those folks if you want to do some hugel culture or anything along those lines. So definitely a good connection to have. You know, one thing you do need to look out for, though, and it's something I got in this load, so I just want to share this with you, is, a lot of times I'll use these wood chips to fill up my compost bins. Wood chips make a really good kind of base material, good aggregate material for your compost heap, as long as you mix in some nitrogen containing material as well, like fresh grass clippings, food scraps, coffee grounds, that sort of thing. You'll actually get a pretty good compost from them. But one thing you do need to look out for is this kind of wood. Now, I'm not sure how well it comes across on the camera here, but you can see these wood chips are nice and red, and that is because these are cedar. And cedar is really kind of a special kind of wood. It's got a lot of natural oils and compounds in it that prevent it from decomposing as rapidly as other types of wood. So I wouldn't recommend filling your compost bin with cedar wood chips. Now, I don't really mind, because there's plenty of places around my yard that I can spread cedar, and places where I don't necessarily want the wood chips to decompose as rapidly, maybe walkways, in my garden, things like that, where I have containers. So I'm very happy to have cedar wood chips, but you definitely don't want to be putting them into your compost. And to kind of illustrate that property of cedar, one of the things that happens with these piles of wood chips is, if they sit around for a while, and this one I've had for maybe a week, and it's rained a few times, is they start to get this kind of powdery mildew material. You can see that powder coming up as I agitate them there. I don't know if those are spores or just mold or whatever, but I do try to be upwind when I'm shoveling this stuff with the pitchfork if it's been around for a few days. But one thing that's kind of interesting with this pile is that as I have gotten into the cedar pockets, there's not nearly as much of that dust. In fact, the cedar wood chips look perfectly fine, whereas the other stuff is all kind of gray and dingy and covered in this powdery mold that gets up into the air as soon as you start kicking it around. So really interesting that even after just a few days, the other wood is already starting to decompose, but the cedar really shows no signs of decomposition. I've been spreading wood chips like this around my property for a couple years now. I'm not sure how many piles I've spread. I've lost track, but I keep getting wood chips on a regular basis because, they decompose, they break down over time. And there are large areas of my yard that I've covered with mulch. And I got to tell you, the trees there really appreciate it. Perennial plants like trees, fruit trees, or even non-fruit trees, they prefer a soil that is more fungal dominant, a slightly more acidic soil, because that is the sort of thing you would find in a forest where wood has been falling on the ground and decomposing for a long time. And so when you spread wood around like this and fungus starts to decompose it, it makes the soil more hospitable, more optimal, let's say, for perennial plants like trees. And I can attest to this. There are areas in my yard where I've spread a deep layer of mulch, like around my peach tree, for example, where if you dig down just about an inch into the soil, you'll find a thick layer of white mycelium anywhere that the mulch is moist. And, a thick layer of mulch like this, it retains moisture really well, by the way, for your trees. So it's going to save you some money on watering your trees as well. But that fungus really becomes apparent very quickly, and you'll see mycelial action within just a few weeks of spreading wood chips. So if you're growing trees, or you're trying to set up your yard for permaculture, or you just want to do something that's good for your local ecosystem, you want to sequester some carbon into the soil, and you want to encourage more fungal dominance in your soil and encourage fungus to be growing, which is going to free up nutrients for your organic garden and for your perennials, then definitely look into getting some wood chips and spreading them around. Like I said, they're free or extremely cheap. If you want to give your arborist a tip for dropping off a big pile of wood chips for you, that's probably a good idea if you want to get more. Just wanted to give you guys that little tip about the cedar wood chips, how you don't want to be putting those into your compost heap, but wood chips in general are an awesome thing to use either in your compost bin or for your plants. Let me know what you're doing. Are you spreading wood chips around your yard? How do you get them? I'd be really interested to know, so let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you next time. Andrew from Go Green Compost out.